What's up, everybody? It must be Tuesday. It must be Tuesday.
No, it's
You
Wednesday.
wait, is it? It is Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
This is the second time I have done that today. This tells you, this is how you know that I am not feeling 100% because I don't even know what day it is.
What day it is?
And the other thing that's got me messed up, I know if Sang's out in the audience right now, I know she's like, you just did that this morning. I said it was Monday. I said it was a Monday on Project Joy this morning. So I don't know what's happening, but this is how you know. I don't feel 100% today, and two, we have been dealing with an ungodly amount of snow
Oh my gosh.
over here
Oh my
in
gosh.
England.
Oh my gosh.
See, I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to get us through the week quickly. It was Monday, Tuesday. In 5 minutes, it's going to be Wednesday. Next, at the end, by the time we end the show, it's going to be Thursday.
I'm good
That's
with
what it
Thursday. Let's
is.
go. I'm excited for Thursday. Let's practice Thursday today.
Welcome everybody to Beyond 2D. I'm Jessica Dugas, one of your hosts, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host,
Hey, Farron, Dozier, retired Army Sergeant First Class.
2D.
2Ds.
2D. We have been engaging in this quest to talk about different words that we use to describe experiences within our relationships.
Idea with
This
that.
first series. Um, and last episode we talked about loyalty.
Loyalty,
And that was fun. And you didn't have good expectations for what
I
what
did.
you thought was that show was going to be. So tell us about that. Tell us about
Yeah.
what you thought and then what it was.
See, because I can admit, and I'll make sure I'm not going to do this today. I could admit that I did come in that show with a position to
Mm,
defend and to stand from. But the more that we conversated and the more I listened to you from your views and your perspective, and I set my position aside, it was like that was not a bad episode. I was able to hear something different for myself that I could even apply, right? And just
mm,
like, okay, maybe now when I listen to other people talk about loyalty, I'm not just my lens only. It's
right.
like okay, now
Right.
I've expanded my views and my perspective and my perception, even my interpretation from that. Like I said, it turned out to be a really good conversation, other than
Yeah.
how I thought it was going to start. Like today's.
Listen, I gave him a warning before we came in here, you guys. I was like, I don't feel good today. And so I'm going to need you to not say something to upset me.
Nope. Nope. I was already getting dressed like, oh yeah, I'm coming from this position. I'm coming from over here. She ain't
See,
gonna have nothing to come back on that. When I say that, she gonna be done. Last episode.
we shall see. We shall see, my friend. So today we are talking about respect. Got a little Aretha Franklin. Take it away, Farron.
RESPCT.
We're gonna find out what it means to him. Coming up here
There
in
you
a
go.
minute. I would love for you all to chime in below as we get into this topic today. What does respect mean to you? What does that word mean to you? Because this is why we take words or concepts or phrases and we explore them on this show, because we're going to go to the dictionary definition like we always do, but it doesn't matter to a lot of us what a book says. We still take whatever word we hear and we process it through our own knowledge and experience. And so I'm interested to hear, what does respect mean to all of you that are tuning in today? So would you like to start us off with your definition of respect, Farron? Where you want to go with this?
Oh, you know what? Again, I sat with this word. I look back in my life, and I don't think it's a word that I use to describe how I view people or how I view myself. Like I
Mhm.
don't think I've used respect.
I'm learning about you real quick that you don't apparently use any word in the English language. That's what I've come to
I was
resolve
you
about
know
this.
why? Because I was an emotional guy. So I was a child and a teenager and a grown man that
Yeah.
whatever my mind said, I wore my emotions on my sleeve. Like you hear people say that my emotions on my
Yeah.
sleeve.
Yeah.
Like so, I just reacted to life the way that my mind was telling me, hey, this is what you got to do to survive. Like and not in those words, but so I didn't use words to describe how I was feeling because I didn't
Well,
know the
and see, I think it surprises me in particular with this word because you come from a military background, and I know that respect is a word that is used a lot in the military space. So,
true, and that's a problem, right?
mm,
Because we do say you don't have to respect me, but you got to respect the rank, right? And then that's like a whole nother ego driven, I'm in charge kind of perception. And so in that culture, you just learn to deal with that. But I don't get an opinion about that. It's like you just killed off my opinion about what my meaning of respect is because I have to respect your rank, even though I don't respect you as a person, whatever that is, right? So the labeling of that, yeah, we talk about that, but I'm peeling those military labels layers off as well
mm,
because just as that, like I have to respect you because of your rank. Like it doesn't make sense, but that's what we're trained to do, and so my
right,
opinions go silent.
right. Yeah, I mean, for me, respect has always been about honoring a person. That if you say you appreciate or value somebody, respect is how you show that. Um, and so what does that mean? It depends on the context. It depends on the person. It depends on the role that they play in my life. Who is that person to me? And I think in general, I am a person who respects somebody until something happens to where I feel like, well, let me rephrase. I feel like I will always respect a person, but sometimes that respect requires me to walk away. That respect requires me to not be involved with the person because I'm not going to bring myself to go into a space of disrespect because I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Like I'm feeling, hurt or bothered or frustrated or angry with the person. I'm not going to sacrifice who I am as a person and stay in a situation and then flip into some ugliness that is not who I am. You know what I mean? So respect to me is just simply honoring a person, is showing them that you value them through how you treat them. It's a being, not a thing.
But see, and so I was glad that you opened up that door because most of the time, if I reflect back in my life growing up, people point more out about the disrespect versus the
Mhm.
respect. So you learn about what disrespect is, but not what it is, what it isn't, which is respect.
Right. Right.
So if you grew up in an environment that's always you're disrespectful, but I'm just trying to express myself and have a conversation with you, right? So then it's
Correct.
like, so all sometimes people focus on the other end of it, and you never really learn about, well, what is it to be respectful. You don't give me that education. You just point out to when you're not being respectful,
Right.
and
Right.
and so that's
Yeah. And I love what saying here because it ties into some of what I'm talking about. You can disagree with someone and still respect them. You can care
yes.
about a person and not respect how they behave. It's all about the choice and how you engage. And I agree with that. Because even in the context of what I was talking about, if I am feeling some kind of way in a situation as I'm interacting with a person and I choose to walk away so that I don't like in my mind, I don't say something or do something disrespectful, they could still think in their mind that me choosing to walk away is disrespectful.
Exactly.
It's all in how we process the situation, and that goes back to this conversation that we've been having for the last 3 years on this show about the importance of communicating. If somebody does something in my life that you know that I suddenly feel like that doesn't make me feel respected. Like that feels not good to me at all. It's then on me to say, what did you mean by that? Or, maybe we need to have a conversation kind of thing. And so it's on us as always, we've talked about, to have that conversation. Um, do you want to get into shall we talk about the textbook definition
Yeah, I want to
of
say I agree with you on that other part of that because
yeah.
I can admit that I've only been at this healing journey for 16 years. So the first 40 years is what you're talking about. It's like you feel that, you think about that, you react to that. So the education I have now, you have feelings and emotions, you don't have to become them, right? So by learning that and practicing that, I have a different perspective or perception on life. But now I still have to go through and deal with my own old views of myself and of people and how we talking about this. So I'm not saying that I don't do it, but
Right.
I have a better understanding of it today to not react to things that people say. But yeah,
Right.
prior to that, in my first 40 years, of course, it was okay. It was, I guess, I was emotional, so it was, everything was disrespectful or hurtful, or you know because those things just wasn't taught.
Yeah.
It was more focused on the negative
And
than
I
it
think
was.
I would love to add to that is that I think at the end of the day, we're human beings, and everything that happens to us, again, even words that people say, are processed through our own knowledge, understanding, life experience. And so when something happens and our initial reaction is, I don't like that. Like, that's normal. And I think that where the real, like, sort of self mastery comes in is you allow yourself to have that feeling, to feel it, but it's what we do with that. Like, it's then going like, am I gonna act up right now because I feel that, or am I gonna sit with it for a minute, ask questions of either myself or the other person or the situation involved,
Right.
and then choose what to do with it. That's, to me, because I think sometimes there's this misconception that when we talk about, like, because I've heard other people talk about emotional mastery before, and it has not sat right with me. And the
Yeah.
reason why is because they make it sound like you're getting rid of the emotion.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
no,
that's
yeah,
not,
no,
we would be robots.
yeah, exactly, yeah, no, yeah. It's what you do with that emotion and how you respond to
Right.
it with yourself and outwardly, and that's self control. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what self control looks like in an emotional state.
Right.
It's, can I
Right.
ask more questions before even though my body is doing what it's doing and is ready to explode on you, but I could still be like, what, and that's how I hear with my dad. That's how my
Yeah.
my life transformed with my dad, because I listened to him
Yeah.
from a committed way.
Well, we had a we've had some things happening in the last couple of weeks that I've had to process through, and sometimes when I'm in it, and I'm in it really deep, I can feel that emotion even heavier, and it's harder for me to see outside that emotional bubble. And so we've kind of had a couple, what my husband coined as the petty palace meetups, to as a collection of like 2-3 people, to sit and go, okay, let's process through what we're seeing and experience here. And it's a little petty for a minute, it's a
Yeah,
little,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that process for me, like I can't even tell you, has been so helpful to
That's
take
beautiful.
myself out of the situation and kind of see and hear from other people's perspective too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes we're all feeling the petty at the same time, but it's been so helpful to like get it out, feel it, and then move on. And then I can react to what's happening from in my mind, respectful, calm
Right.
way.
Right.
I don't need to put the petty on the front porch. It could
Right.
just be like in a room for a minute.
And carry it around all day, or
Right.
carry
It's
it around
no,
for 2 years.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we
I
do.
don't
We
like it.
carry that. We carry those episodes and
It's not
explode five
healthy.
years later.
It's not it gets, I mean, think about there, I've heard examples before of like, people dealing with things like anger and frustration and, these things that take whatever heavy emotion we're feeling and imagine it as like a heavy suitcase.
Mm.
Imagine if you had to carry that suitcase, you had to sleep with it, you had to walk it around everywhere, you had to do eventually that's going to affect your health negatively. Your arm's going to hurt real bad. You might pull it out of socket. Like there's a lot of, you know what I mean? So it's like it's healthy for me to get the stuff out, but in a way, I feel like my shift where respect is concerned has been to get it out in a way that is productive for me. I will express it. I will take a little bit of time in the petty palace and then I can outside of that protective space, then go, what do I want this to look like on the outside? Like, how do I want to express this? What do I need to explore for myself? All of these things. So I've come a long way with it because I think we're all, not we're all, but many of us when we're younger, we're much more reactive in the
Uh,
moment.
I did my talk at church with the glasses and the spoon and the lens of how I viewed life, and that spoon, like you said, the luggage of carrying that emotion and not realizing that when I'm this whole time I've been hurting myself until
Yep.
I realized what I was carrying. And so, yes, the at the end of the day, we're talking about respect, but what leads up to that perception, your interpretation of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's for me is what I
Right.
got from your conversation is
Right.
that's the label, but then what leads to that? And now the definition.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the definitions. Now, the
Ah,
interesting thing, and I'm going to pull this up really quick because I didn't pull it up on this computer, and I wanted to make a point about the definition. When you go to the definition at dictionary.com, the first two definitions have nothing to do with the context in which we're talking about it because respect um is usually like the first definition is which I'm not even bringing up because again it's not what we're talking about, is
yeah.
a particular detail or point, like in some respect, in respect to, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
relation,
Right.
like it
Yeah.
has nothing to do with what we're talking about in relationship. Again, the second one is relation or reference, so with respect to, that
Right.
that
Right.
sort of thing. The third one is where we start getting into the relationship aspect. And it says esteem for or sense of the worth or excellence of a person, a
Mm,
personal quality or ability, or something considered as a manifestation of a personal quality or ability. So it's
mm,
talking, the example it gives is I have great respect for her judgment.
mm,
So that would be to have
mm,
respect for a person, to have like a
mm.
value or appreciation for.
Yeah.
And then the second
Well,
one,
that makes sense because if I esteem you, right, and we have a conversation, and then I say something that maybe invalidates you as a person,
mm,
that could be disrespect to you.
hmm
But it's not about me invalidating you; it's me trying to express myself about what we're
right,
talking about. But you're now offended by that because of
right,
you feel invalidated. So
right.
that's what the esteem mean to me.
Yeah, it's interesting with that one. That's the second one that comes up, says deference to a right, privilege, or privileged position, or something, someone or something considered to have certain rights or privileges, proper acceptance or courtesy, and acknowledgement. And that last part really lands hard for me because for me, to respect a person is acknowledging your honoring of them, your respect for the person. To respect means I do respect. Like and it's interesting. So, but again, from my own perspective, and so the definition that or the example that gives is, for example, respect for a suspect's right to counsel, to show respect for the flag. There's the sort of a military reference there as well. Respect for the elderly. So in reference to a right, the right someone has to be respected. So we could ask that question: Do you believe everybody at birth earns the right to be respected, or is that based on how they behave?
Yeah. So as a heart posture, as a way to be with people, yeah, you would want to initially give them that respect. Um, but if I, based on the doing of it, you may not want to because of how they act or how they respond. So yeah, it's and that's the separation that we have to be able to have with people
Right.
because of our different environments, the way our cultures are.
Right.
And you could say something that's disrespectful, but I might hear it and I'm not, it's not disrespectful to me, but it is to you.
Right.
Neither one of us is wrong, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in my mind right now just thinking about you know, like I was saying before, in general, I have respect for a person until I feel like that's sort of unearned. If like until they show me a behavior. But I think there again, there's two different things happening here for me. It's one, a feeling of respect, and two, a demonstrating or a doing or a being or like doing of respect. So
Right, right,
I
yeah.
may not emotionally respect what somebody has done, like I may not, and some of that like really seeps out into understanding, and there's a lot of gray area here, but like okay, so if I know a friend of mine, let's take an example like this. If let's say, okay, you go and I witness you um saying something to someone that is hurtful. Okay, I'm not going to respect that in my head. That's going to feel like I don't I would never like I would I'm not going to respect that in my head. However, I might I still don't think that it having respect for you as my friend, like the role of my friend, that respect might look like me not saying something necessarily in person, but hey, like afterwards, hey, Farron, I noticed this and this is, something that just didn't sit right with me. I would respect you enough to have a conversation about it. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily respect the action, but I don't feel like it's on me to then demean you as a human
Right,
being. Like
right,
two wrongs don't make a right, in
right.
my opinion.
And that's what happens when you react to the whatever that is that we determine in our view that's disrespectful or respectful.
Mm,
So it's still that lives. I believe respect lives over here. It doesn't live
mm,
over there where you are.
right,
Right? It
right,
lives in my space. So my interpretation, my perspective, my perception of that is I gotta manage that. Right. And if I
right.
feel if I'm the one and you say something and I feel disrespected, then it's up to me to come to you and be like, hey, what made you say that? Not like get out of my face and start an argument with you or fight with you because I felt it. But like you said, before I feel that outwardly, let me find
Mm,
out what did you
right.
say? What did I say or do to you? And if I could drop this for my example, when I went to go heal with my daughters, to ask
Mm.
them for forgiveness. I was taught first to create the space for that space,
Mm.
forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
And so I was taught, don't take it personal. If you really want truly to understand your children and where their hearts are and where them how they think about you, then you've got to create that space. And I created that space for my daughters. And my middle daughter, I was thinking about this morning. She cursed me out for like an hour and 45 minutes, right? But because I set the tone and I created a space for her to have the freedom to say whatever was on her heart, and that I wouldn't defend myself and I wouldn't, there would be no repercussions, she was able to. Now, was she cursing at me or was she expressing herself in the language of those words to get that out of her heart? So I could have taken that two ways, right? But I stood in the space to allow her to just say what she needed to say. I didn't expect curse words,
Mm.
but I created the space for her and I didn't defend myself. And so to me, if I'm being respectful and I'm being that way that I want in return, I got to create the space for that. And if I'm walking around with this fracture of myself, then that's what I'm guarding myself with. And you better not speak
Mm.
to that topic about me.
Right.
And so I just believe it's something that lives in our space. Not it's not there's not I can't show you respect in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh, there's respect by your chair over there. That's respect. Like it's not something that's in nature. So that means it's in language, and
Right.
and it shows up for different people in different ways and different terms and different experiences. Emotions connected to it, body sensations connected to it. There's a lot going on than to say that this is what respect is
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Sang was
And
saying having a clear distinction for self and the ability to be able to express how it feels disrespectful. So if we
exactly,
say, I feel disrespected, well, what do we mean by that? And we'll
exactly,
talk a little bit more about that after the break as well.
yeah,
The third definition I just want to show really quick says the condition of being esteemed or honored. And I showed that as it because that's what when I thought about it before I looked it up, that's how I felt. And the example it gives is to be held in respect, to be held in respect, again, just honoring. Not that in that case we're not necessarily talking about a doing, but rather just like sort of the emotional picture in our minds, I think, is how I think. And then the interesting thing too is after that, again, I didn't bring these up as we're processing through these, but there's the I don't know why that's given me an error. Hold on one second. I got to go back to it. Okay. It also talks about respects, as in a formal expression or gesture of greeting, esteem, or friendship. For example, giving your respects to your parents, paying
mhm.
respects
I would,
to
yeah,
somebody that you passed away or somebody
yeah,
that's passed away or whatever. So that's another thing that comes into respect, favor, consideration, those sort of things as well.
I just want to touch on esteem. I went to look it up real
Yeah.
quick. Esteem means to hold something or someone in a high regard, to value,
Mm-hmm.
appreciate, or think well of.
Right.
At its core, esteem is the internal evaluation of worth.
Right. Right.
So I create that
Mm-hmm.
value towards you.
Yep. And that's
So
why I say there's a difference, but there's a difference for me
yeah,
between me understanding or respecting a person's choices in my mind and then how I behave
right,
respect wise as a result of that. Those are two very different things that oftentimes for me don't coincide because
yeah,
there's a lot of people I sit back and I go, I don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't understand that. I would never do that. That is not a way that I would behave. But that doesn't mean that I need to then make a whole circus of it and create a space of disrespect simply because
right,
I would never.
right. And that's to me as a parent. I mean, we could say that for after the break, but there's
Mm,
that whole conversation as a parent comes into play.
yeah. Yeah.
And your child, now you're telling your child that they're disrespectful, and we're not giving them the space to share themselves or express themselves, even if it is disrespectful to you, can you allow that child to express themselves and then talk about what that looks like on the
Yeah.
opposite side? That same was saying, it's like, how do you have that conversation as a parent to your child so that that child can esteem you and respect you and honor you?
Right.
That's the commandment with the promise. It's honor your father and mother. It doesn't say like or love your father and mother. It says honor, esteem them, respect them.
Mm-hmm.
Not love.
And
So I
there's
don't have to
also,
love you to esteem you.
even with that, I think we talked about that on a previous episode, how I was processing through, like, my past and the relationship with my parents and things like that. And I had talked to a pastor at the time about the feelings I was having with that particular biblical reference. And he talks about, the respect of the title, that we're not, that the title of that, just because we respect the title of, that doesn't mean that we have to like everything that they did. It doesn't mean that we're condoning behavior
Right.
either.
Right.
And I think that's a huge distinction, because it's the same thing for me as we talk about, we get into this realm of politics. We can respect a position and really dislike the way that somebody's behaving.
Right.
And just because we say the words, I respect the position of the United States presidency, that doesn't mean that we are then condoning behavior of the person that holds it. And so this is where we get into a lot of sticky territory when it comes to having political conversations, because sometimes we go and we'll make a comment of, well, I respect this. And people, they take it and they put it all together, and they think that you're saying that like and condone everything that's done. And that's just that's not reality. There's a lot of gray area.
Yeah. That's what gets in the way. Add it with a dash of opinions. Sprinkle
That's
some
it.
opinions on there, and it's
That's
like,
it.
oh yeah, it's
Yep.
not a
Yep.
good conversation after that.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Farron is going to continue this
Oh,
conversation with you. I will be back like a minute later, but Farron's going to continue this conversation with you about respect, and we'll be right back after this.
I got it. I got my notes right here.
All right.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm blessed, my brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, did you see the game last night?
Oh, that was a good game.
But did you see the shot?
I lost money from that shot.
Oh,
too,
man,
bro.
the shot was cold,
I
man.
hated it, but it was good. Damn. What's in those jeans?
You really want to know?
I do.
Exhaustion, muscle spasms, asthmatic issues, unexpected sickle cell trait crises.
Damn. Are you serious? When I was young, I found out I had sickle cell trait. My mom's told me, but I ain't have no knowledge of it. But when I got older, I had a child, and the doctor told me my daughter has sickle cell trait. You know the facts that both parents have sickle cell trait? There's a 50% chance the child may have the trait, and 25% chance the child may have the disease.
Hey, that's what's the count. Do you know that 2.5 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait, 300 million people globally? I didn't find out I had sickle cell trait until I was in the Army, 10 years. Next thing you know, I had a sickle cell trait exertion site.
Sickle cell? I thought that was a black gene or something.
Nah, man, the Latin community is number 2. 1 out of 36,000 babies are being born with sickle cell disease. You could be Caucasian, Mediterranean, European. You gotta know your bloodline, man. There is an inherited gene in our community that has been forgotten. The name is sickle cell trait. WDCONSCT, also known as What's the Count, is out to bring awareness, education, and prevention to people all over the globe. Want more information? Call us now at 323-215-5384 or visit www.wdconsct.org.
All right, welcome back to Beyond 2D. We're talking about respect. So look, I don't like to have generalized conversations, so I'm not going to sit here and speak for all men because that just would not be um, a way to have this discussion because everyone grows up in their different environment, their different cultures. Now we may have the same concerns and worries and circumstances, but we all respond to them differently, right? But if I come to you from a space of what it is to be a male, because there's a lot of conversations about men and respect and what that looks like and what it sounds like and what it tastes like and all that. So I had to look at myself, right? And I believe that before I can give a person respect, I have to first know what my ingredients of respect is for myself first, right? See, a lot of times I want respect from other people, but I'm not even giving the respect to myself first. So then how can I demand something from someone that I don't have for myself? And even how I just said that, it's not that I don't have respect for myself, but maybe I don't have 100% respect for Farron, right? And so me being able to self-examine myself with these conversations and then tell the truth to myself about myself, I don't respect Farron 100%. I've done things in life that didn't display a level of self-respect for myself first. So again, how can I demand someone to give me respect when silently and emotionally I don't have that same respect for myself? So as a male, as a man, I have to then look at myself and figure out what does that look like for me to have my own level of self-respect and self-respect for an inner experience, right? Because it's not in nature. I can't show you my self-respect over there. Oh, my respect is right there by the chair. Oh, here's my respect over here. It's on my shoulder. You can't see that. It's me describing those emotions and feelings and words to describe what I feel like respect is for Rod first. So you have to do that for yourself first. And we say it knowing your worth. How do I figure out what my own self-worth is? That can be difficult when you grow up in an environment or you tell yourself, your mind tells you that I'm not good enough, I'm not worth it, there's something wrong with me, right? How do you then measure your self-worth when your own mind is telling you, you better not do that because you know what happened the last time you did that, and now your own self-worth has been diminished, but not by you, by maybe something that was said to you, maybe some actions that was taken towards you that had you to survive that moment, that you had to give that meaning about yourself to become a different way so that you can then feel respected, right? So these are the conversations that I believe as men we have to have that for ourselves. Women, I can't speak for women, but I have another opinion about what women want. But for men, I believe you got to understand what your self worth is. You got to honor your own values. Like you got to find out how do you keep your word to yourself. Like these are the ingredients of what it is to have self respect. And if I can see what I did was when I realized that I didn't have a measure of self love and self esteem and self respect for myself and how I behaved with myself, it gave me that humility and compassion for other people. Because if I know what I was dealing with for the first 40 years of my life, I could only imagine. I could only imagine what that is for other people. And that's humility. Right? That's so I believe as men and women, you've got to be able to examine that. And yes, I will tell you for what I feel about what women in respect is. First of all, listen to the original version of Respect. That song was actually sang by a male, first of all. But if you look at respect from an emotional standpoint, I believe that women equate affection. I believe that women need affection and men need respect, right? As and on an emotional stage. So if a woman gets affection and I believe that that's interpreted as being validated, right? Because she's been being validated, she's being heard, she's being accepted for who she is as a person. And I believe that's what men want as well, just to be respectful of who I am as a person, right? But if you keep score of who's respectful to you and who's not, then you're gonna miss the nuances of how valuable that person, how special that person is. So men need respect for me, women need affection, which interprets a level of respect. That's my point, and that's my opinion about that, and I stand on that.
Oh, this is the hill you're going to die on today?
This is the
this the
last
hill you're going to
episode.
die on today?
Yes, this is the last episode.
Let me get my thoughts here together. Lord, there's so many different. Okay. This just happened so such. You know what's interesting? The other day, I watched a movie that was it's really a movie that I love that I hadn't watched in a really long time, and it is called What Women Want. Have you seen that movie, Farron?
Not most recently, no.
Highly recommend going back and taking a little look-see at that movie.
Okay.
The reason I love that movie is because even taking the idea of men and women off the table, even and let's just talk about human to human. We all have an idea about, and look, we can sit here and we could be, lean into our spirituality and say, well, I would never expect that someone else feels a certain way. BS, whatever. It's somewhere inside you. We all have opinions about how we think somebody else, what we think they want, how we think they process things. And what I love so much about that movie is that you have this character who starts out going, he thinks he is God's gift to women, let alone not, feeling like he knows what they want. But what he realizes is he needs to take all those opinions about what he thinks women wants and chuck them right in the trash, because how does he find out what women really want? By listening to them. Mm-hmm. And he also finds out, and I love this part of the message too, that it's not what women want, it's what each individual woman wants. Mm-hmm. And so I think as we talk about respect, I think there are stereotypes that have been given over the years about what, how men in particular are, how they want to process respect. But I also think some of it's generational as well. Oh, yeah. If we think about parenting, way back, even just a few decades ago is very different from parenting today. A lot of people, from boomers, Gen X, were kind of, you're seen and not heard. Yes. And that's what respect is. And meanwhile, the place that we're in now is leaning more towards giving people, like you were talking about before, the space to express themselves, and through that is respect. Right. And so if I'm gonna have to say no to the whole. It's a hard no for me too, as affection being some sort of on even the same level as respect, because there's some people I don't want to be affectionate towards me in any kind of way, but I would love to be respected in my field. I would love to be respected for what I do. I would love to be, and by respect, I go back to my definition, which is honored for or acknowledged for. That's an even better word. I don't even need to be respected. I would love to be, but I would like to also be acknowledged for.
But is affection only physical though?
I think that no. I don't think it's physical. I don't think it's absolutely physical, but I don't. That's not. It's a no for me.
But it's the same thing, because if you look at what it is for affection, it's respect is being. You said one of the key things is being heard, being listened to. That's a way that you can be affectionate to a person, honoring their boundaries. All of that, again, we're looking at the label of it.
So the
But
label
what's
of
the
affectionate
ingredient?
is showing love or tenderness.
Yeah.
I
And for
don't
some
need to
people,
somebody I don't need for somebody to always to be expressing themselves in a loving or tender way. That's not, to
but
me
that's
it's kind of
listening.
the opposite.
But
It's
if the person's listening to you in a loving and tender way, that's affection, and it's also respect.
correct, but it's not that's not like, I don't think I don't think
See,
that.
there's a physical. See, that's what I'm saying. There's a physical aspect of
I'm not
doing
talking about the physical.
right.
I'm not talking about the physical. I'm talking about like that. To me, respect and affection are not interchangeable.
Really.
Really, that's two very different things. And as a woman, as the woman on the screen right now, I'm going to say that for me,
Yeah.
those are two very different things.
I think that it's an ingredients of all of it put together, labeled as respect or labeled as affection. Because affection is not just physical.
But
Affection
you're
also,
bringing an element into the conversation that doesn't need to be brought into it. And the reason why I say that, the reason why I say that is because we're trying to unpack the word respect. Now, if you want to have an episode about the word affection, we can. But what you're doing here of interchanging one for the other is dangerous in the context of which we're trying to have this conversation, because that's unpacking a completely different word.
right, and I'm okay with that of letting it go. But for some men, again, that is the conversation that
Are
respect.
men okay? I need to speak to the men. Are
Yeah.
you men out there really having the conversation that a woman would rather have affection than respect, or that they're the same thing?
Because it equates, because the experience of it equates to that of what women are emotional and men are logical. So for an emotional level of affection,
In
it's
what
not just
circumstances?
it's in all circumstances, because it's being listened to,
Nope.
and most people aren't being heard. That's the issue with being respectful and being affectionate, is when people aren't heard.
That's it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. So Sang said, I can see where and why Farron views that, because it's a culture and gender teaching. And what I'm trying to say is, if we're going to begin to understand each other better as men and women, then we need to get out of some of these culture and gender teachings. And my suggestion would be to drop that connection, because I would never in a million years process through, like, especially if I'm talking about like a professional situation, I would never process through, well, what I really want from my boss is affection.
So the example I have is, respect without affection can feel like distance, cold, or transactional.
Could,
Could.
but again, affection would never be the word I would use. I think compassion for sure would be up there, but affection would be a no. And I love what Sang was saying here too. Just because I'm Asian doesn't mean I know math or speak Vietnamese or know everything about my culture, but people expect me to be, and will belittle me because I don't. And so that's why I also think, as we're exploring words, the word affection, affectionate, if a woman doesn't process through things like that, then she's going to be thought of a certain way, like as not being, then we go into the world of maybe she's not feminine enough. Like this is why I say that's a tough word to throw in here, and 0 stars, do not recommend.
Okay, let's go back to respect.
Respect. All right. Okay, so I know it's not, even if it's not a word you use, I want to hear from everybody. When do you feel respected? And on the flip side, when, or you can answer either or both. When do you feel disrespected? What are the feelings that arrive when you might, even if it's not a word you use,
Yeah.
when do you feel sort of into that?
I'm gonna go with what I said. It's about being heard. Because if you give me the space to say what I need to say, and then I say what I need to say, and then you are offended, or you whatever that reaction that you give back to me, then you genuinely probably didn't want to hear what I needed to say.
Mm.
So my my self-expression is fractured again, because if I say something, then I'm going to be embarrassed, or I'm going to be disappointed, or I'm going to be ashamed, or be upset. So I need to be heard.
Yeah.
I need to be heard. And if I'm not heard, then I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I'm going to reduce my interaction with you because of the emotional feeling that I gave myself for being vulnerable to open up and say what I need to say.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. For me, there was a lot of ingredients. I wasn't vulnerable for 41 years. So those words didn't even come into play because I focused on not being vulnerable. So if I'm not going to be vulnerable, I'm not going to give the woman affection all the time, and I'm not going to be respectful all the time because I'm protecting myself.
Well, and that's why, as you were just saying that just now, it just adds more to my thought of differentiating between the words, because I could have there's moments, and my husband knows. I'm going to tell him to come back and watch this because he knows that I'm very open about our relationship on my shows and things like that. And there are moments when I absolutely respect him as my husband, and I respect him as a human being, and I appreciate and I value him, but I'm not in no kind of way to feel affectionate, and I'm not even just talking about the physical. I'm talking about, like, I may just be matter of fact to the point in something, and that's not going to present always as affectionate and loving and sweet and kind and tender and compassionate and all these things. Sometimes it's going to be, I'm trying to make a point, and that's it. So that's why for me, there's a huge difference between affection and respect.
But did you hear your communication? I'm trying to make a point. It has nothing to do with how he feels about this conversation.
Right, because it's me it's expressing something. If he was trying to make a point, he'd be the one expressing something.
Right, but then if you're trying to make a point to the person who's listening to you about making the point too, how you make that point is going to be very important on how they receive that point.
100%.
Right.
100%. But who's in a conversation? Which one matters?
Both.
Okay, then that's so you can't say.
But I'm saying, but also, if I'm making a point and I'm not caring about how you feel about my point,
right?
Then it still doesn't validate the person.
So what you just did is you just associated a person saying something in a strong, matter-of-fact way as not being respectful.
No, you can be a matter of fact, but it's not what I say, it's how it lands on other people. I could be firm and respectful, but how I say it, I'm also aware of how it lands on you. So I have to be responsible for what I say to make my point to how it lands on you.
But respect and affection, two different things.
Yeah, I get that. I left that alone.
You made my point in your example, so I'm just pointing it out.
That's what I'm saying.
You
said if I'm trying to express myself in a matter of fact to my partner, and my matter of fact offends her or makes her.
I did not say that. You rewind. I didn't say nothing about offending anybody. Mm-mm.
So in your matter of fact, he's okay with your expression of a matter of fact. Okay.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter of fact. Because to be matter of fact doesn't mean offensive or rude or ugly. Like, to be matter of fact it just means it's separate from affection.
Right. And I'm good with that. But you have to have that kind of relationship with that person.
Right.
That's
Yep.
the part that I'm saying. That's what I'm pointing to is you have to have that relationship with that person.
This is why we're in circles today, saying,
Yes.
because I knew it was coming, so I put us in circles.
So yeah,
Final question of the day. Do you respect yourself? And if so, what does that look like for you?
I respect myself today. Um, Probably about 75% of the time.
Can we see that? Can we see that laid out in like a
Yeah.
graph?
So what that looks like is there are things in my life that I'm still dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't have it all figured out, and so I may say something or do something to somebody or say something that lands on them in a way that is offensive or bother,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm still working that out. And also, there's like my being heard.
Yep.
That's in that 25% of me in my lack. So I'm always listening to see if you hear, are you listening or do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shield. So when you don't do that, and I don't think you're doing that, then that it goes back to me.
Right.
So I'm learning not to put that 25% on other people. That's still for me to go do my research and figure out why do I not respect myself the other 25%.
Yeah.
But it is a shield that I put in front of people. And if you speak to that embarrassment or disappointment or shame, then I'm going to defend that. And I don't have to defend that. So yeah, I don't have 100% respect for myself.
Yeah.
I don't give it. I don't give it to people either.
Right. Right. I
Regard.
think there's moments for sure. Um I don't think I could ever I love how you give percentages for things because I don't think it's across the board for me at all. I think it's very situational for me. I think in certain areas of my life, I have tremendous respect for myself. In certain other areas, like some areas I would say it's 100%. I respect myself all the time.
Yeah.
In other areas of my life, not so much.
Right.
And then, the other part of the conversation for me that I have been deep into the last couple of weeks is what does it mean to have respect for yourself, but within your business and also the business that you've created.
Mm. Mm.
That's a whole, we could have a
Oh
whole
yeah,
other
yeah. I don't even know how to answer
episode
that.
because that question that will hit you
Ooh.
really hard, especially as you look at the foundation of what you've created and you're looking real close and you start to see some of those fractures in that foundation and you're like, oh, if I build this any taller, it's going to come crashing down. and
Ooh.
and then if you think, and then so where respect comes in for that is saying to yourself, okay, if I say that I'm as passionate about this business as I say I am, then what am I doing on a foundation with cracks in it?
Exactly.
So there's a lot, it's interesting, it's always interesting to me the timing of these conversations that we have, because while I haven't been necessarily exploring personal personal growth respect, I have been really watching play out, and not even just with me but with many people I know right now, this sort of respect that we have for what we're putting out in the world, how that lands, what we have built, what we're creating,
Mm.
the respect that we have for the people that we are bringing into these ecosystems that we're creating. There's a lot of conversation there, and I'm going to digress on that, but it's something to think about if you have not thought about. There's sort of these different spaces, thinking about the respect you have for yourself, the respect that you have for other people, how that looks in your life, but then also on like more of a logistical side, what does respect look like within your business?
Yeah, I think you just hit something because I could tell the truth about my sickle cell trait awareness, right? And I feel stuck in which direction to go, right?
Mm,
But it's not the direction; it's the foundation of where I'm coming from,
yeah,
and to tell the truth about it, is that stable enough? to
Yeah.
build something else on top of what I've done so far. So I definitely like that. I never thought about it as respecting my
Mm.
business or what I do. And maybe that's why I'm trying to get rid of stuff. I'm like, okay, I
Could
think I'm done
be.
with that. I think I'm done with that because the foundation of that stuff is not stable, and I don't want to build nothing else on that. So I gotta let it go. I gotta
It's
complete
a
it.
hard, it's a
Oh yeah,
hard conversation.
I
And
like that though. I like
I'm
that.
in it.
I like
I'm
that.
in it right now and I'm
That's a
watching
totally
it.
different respect for takes you. It takes you away from people, but it's about people though.
Right.
But it
Right.
takes you
Because we
away.
had a conversation in a container that I'm in the other day. By the way, shout out to Peggy MacArthur and the Global Business Plaza for always creating spaces where we can have hard conversations.
Mhm.
But ultimately we were talking about what it looks like, to the difference between being nice in your business, and then we were talking about boundaries. Boundaries is a, and you and I have had conversations about that, but a physical, you can see it,
Yeah.
thing of boundaries in your business and where respect is concerned and how to respect your business is creating firm policies and procedures in your business.
Woo! Sounds like the
if
military.
if this happens,
Sounds like the military.
then this happens. And it honestly, it's got, I mean, it's hard to be in that and thinking about respect at that level, but it ultimately, it's honoring. If we go back to what I was saying about respect before, it's honoring what you have created by protecting it and going, if something was to happen, then this is how I protect my business and what I've created and the money and the time and the energy at which it was created. So anyway, it's a rabbit hole, but it's a fun one.
So respect at the end of the day, respect is not just about how I feel I'm being treated. Because imagine in my respect of how I'm being treated, all that is in the background of my space that you just pointed to. So when you speak to me in a disrespectful way, it may not be me that you're disrespecting. You could be disrespecting my business,
Right.
my family,
Mhm.
my honor, what I stand for, my beliefs.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so all that is connected, man. That's a totally different level of respect.
It's a fun one.
Okay. I guess we'll
Final.
be back for another episode.
We listen. Okay, so we're going to be back in a couple weeks. We're going to be back on March 11th to talk about the words considerate, consideration. What does it mean to consider other people in your life, and what does it mean to be or experience consideration and being considerate? What does that mean? We're going to talk about it on March 11th, 2026. Get ready to dive in. Final final thoughts about respect, Farron.
The biggest thing that I've learned about language is communication is harmonious. I take that away from Carl Wills and meeting him. That true communication is harmonious, and if there's anything that I feel like I'm being disrespected or disrespectful, then it's up to me to clean that up, not for the other person. And so if I'm going to be that communication is harmonious, then I have to be used by that, like live from that. And everybody's definition of respect is different. And like you said, like I said, I can't show you respect in nature. It's not something that I can show you in my hand that this is what respect looks like. It would still be me describing that thing in my interpretation of what respect looks like. So
Right.
me understanding that, it gave me that space of compassion. It gave me that space of humility, because I know my respect is all corrupted with information. And so I can only give that other person space to shuffle through their level of what respect is for them, and ask them, what does it mean to be respectful
Right.
to yourself, to your peers, to your community, to your family? And then that'll give me a sense of where they are and how they describe it first. At least they're gonna describe it, and then you get a sense of the words that they choose to describe it. It may not even be nothing about Farron. It could just be something of how they're trying to express themselves in a deep way that also comes from embarrassment, disappointment, or shame. And it's not personal to Farron. Everything's not personal to Farron. I'm not that special. Like, everything's not personal to me.
I
But if
think
I
you're
walk
special.
around, but if I walk around like that, it's going to be mixed in with respect and disrespectful. And I'm waiting to hear the disrespectful more than I'm waiting to hear the respectful part.
Yeah.
That's that lack of, that's my 25%. And I'm shielding myself with. So yeah.
I would say for me that I go back to what I was saying earlier on, which is that for me there's a difference between the emotional feeling of respect and what we do respect wise as a result of the emotional feeling. And so for me, it has been very helpful in my life to differentiate between those two things and know that just because I feel an element of disrespect doesn't mean I have to show it in a certain kind of way. And also to echo what Farron was saying, examining for you, taking responsibility for um for what respect means to you and how you process that with other people, and be open and willing, as we've said with every topic we've talked about, to have the conversation about if you feel disrespected, to say, to don't jump to, well, I'm disrespected. Well, I can I ask you what you meant by that? Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because maybe the disrespect that you're feeling was just something that just came up. I will also say that some of this topic is going to tie into next week for me for our topic about consideration and being considerate. And I think that it's interesting because growing up in a big Italian family, the first two topics that we talked about are, if you stereotypically what you hear about Italians, you're loyal to the family and you be respectful. That's just it, period. And there maybe perhaps was not a lot of room to explore the consideration side of that, the considerate side. What does it look like to be loyal and respectful while having consideration? Like, how does that? So I'm interested to see where the topic's going to go next week.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be good.
I got nothing.
I want to give a big thank you, big thank you to Sang for chiming in on our conversation. And I see a lot of y'all have just been listening today. I've been watching y'all out there. Don't think I haven't seen you here. Okay, I see you, and I appreciate you being.
To my fellas, where y'all at? Y'all leave me out here hanging, bro.
I appreciate you all for being here. I respect that you took time out of your day to be with us today. I respect those of you who come back every week and are loyal to our program here. I appreciate all. See, I'm going to tie all of it.
I hope you heard the affection in my voice. I hope you were heard. I hope you were heard by the affection in my voice, that I'm very concerned about this conversation.
Guys, we're gonna see you on March 11th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m.
Pacific. There's a lot of songs. We should have some music with that. There's a lot of songs to play about respect.
Yep. There it is. I'm Jessica Dugas. This is Farron Dozier. And we're going to see you on March 11th for more Beyond 2D. Thanks for being here, everybody. Bye.
Peace out.